Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unlimited Railworks. It is Thursday when we're recording this. This episode's going to come out a little late. Sorry, nature of the world we live in. But it's fine. John's still out of here. We were trying to get him in here, but that man is busy.
On a mission.
On a mission, still.
It's a very scary mission.
It is really scary out there in Texas.
High risk.
High risk. More true in more ways than you think, probably. But it's fine, because, look, Elvie's here.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm pretty safe.
I'm glad that you're safe. Okay, that's good. At least one of us is.
Yes.
Maverick, how safe are you?
Pretty safe.
All right. Okay. So, sorry, John. We're all doing okay, I think. But
condolences.
Keep working out there, fighting for everyone's peace. So we're here to talk about this week. It is that time of the month where we talk about our anime that we had. And this was our patron pick, was Paranoia Agent, or Moso Darinin, I believe is how it's pronounced. Satoshi Kon's, less horror. I guess it's supposed to be horror, but it's more just tension, right? It's a thriller.
Like a thriller. I think it's a thriller mystery. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you put it best, Maverick, right? You were talking about how you were surprised because it's less a thriller and more what was it that you said? Twin Peaks or something like that, something more along the lines, like surrealist.
Yeah, I think like the biggest thing that if I had to meditate on is the fact that Paranoia Agent is one of those series that got its break or came out 2004. Not only did it come out in Japan in 2004, but it also was able to get onto Adult Swim. Not soon after that. Maybe '05, '06. But
yeah, yes. It was probably one of the first series that it had such that short time window before simulcasting became a normalized thing now.
So if I had to think about it, okay, it's less that the show itself is inherently terrifying, but more so there were probably a bunch of 5 to 12-year-olds who caught one episode and with no context definitely would have gotten freaked the fuck out by
this isn't Inuyasha.
Yeah, just something very its own and wanting to be its own that you would definitely get a whole different vibe. But at the same time, that reception ultimately kept me away from it because I was always just oh, it's scary, I don't know. But
too spooky.
It was good. Oh, just very, very good. And a reminder about just a solid reminder of Satoshi Kon's impact overall, but can't get too ahead of myself. Rose, you want to hit us with a quick dirt sheet on what we got over here in this series?
Yeah, so this is about, this little guy is going around, okay? And his name's
just
Little
a guy.
Slugger.
He's just a little guy.
He's just a little man.
He's just a little man.
I think is he called Little Slugger in the dub?
He's called Little Slugger in the dub. That's what they chose to paraphrase Shonen Bat.
Right.
Bat Boy. Because Bat Boy would sound weird, really, to an American audience, I'm sure.
Yeah,
it's what?
It conjures up different ideas, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so, he's going around, he's got a golden baseball bat, and he is, he's hitting people. And it's mainly, that's not actually what the show's about, right? That's just, the groundwork. That's, the conceit between episodes for a little bit. Really what it's about is these people who end up being affected by or connected to this little slugger guy and the things that are going on in their lives and the things that the horrors they are dealing with, to an extent, horrors might be, I mean, it's the appropriate word.
It's
probably.
society.
It's society. Yeah. How society? They talk about, I think,
it is society.
It's either the first episode or the second episode. I think it's the second episode where they talk about like there's news stories where they say like, little slugger, you know, this is a natural result of our closed society or whatever, etc. Blah 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 blah, and it's like, wow, yeah, that is what the media would say. I think like it eventually goes into a lot of other things. You know, it has discussions on mental health, on crime, where that crime comes from, why it happens, how people end up in ridiculous situations, a lot of traumatic musings and stuff like that. Yeah, I think the thing that really struck me struck me the most was like how early they start to engage with the little slugger stuff. Because this is something that I assumed would be the crux of most of the series, but I mean, it is. Don't get me wrong, it is, but it is also like explored much. Like episode 4, I think, episode 5 or something. They start to like actually like dissect it. But yeah, this was my first time watching it. I don't really know. Do you guys have a better idea of how to explain this the show than what I said? Because I feel like I'm probably underselling it.
I mean, I guess when you're saying like, you mean to say the first like around when unpacking this character, Little Slugger / Shonen Bat, specifically, you mean to say like actually like, you know, this is a series from 2004. We are going to talk about spoilers, but the fact that they run into like the suspect like early on in the series is what you mean, right? And it's exactly, like, oh, okay, and that pretty much shows how what is selling this show is actually just only a framework of what is really the bigger issues at hand, exactly. which you went into is like the human psychology of like a lot of these problems these people are facing, or if not, they're actually terrible people too. They're also terrible characters who are like doing these horrible things as well, and like unpacking how that is all a response to very much specifically Japanese society. I think like very much the story that they're playing is very specific to Japanese society, as I can go into a little bit later. I think that's what you mean to say. Like, it's just like, wow, okay, they're establishing up front and pulling you in, being like, oh, things are not what they seem. And like, as someone who like has seen this before, and now I'm seeing this as like an adult and like much older and like actually better understand some of the stuff going on, for sure. Like a repeat watch of this series definitely is one of those things where it does feel effective. You start understanding like early hints of foreshadowing and certain like red herrings they establish early on. That makes you realize, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then, and especially in regards to the connective thread they establish between this big cast of characters and how they all like connect back to the Little Slugger incidents and attacks.
So I have to say right now, I have seen Perfect Blue when I was a teenager. Okay, that was it. In terms of Satoshi Kon work, I don't like. I know everyone loves it all. I have a hard time watching movies. Okay, this is my problem.
Right.
And so I was excited to watch this, and I do think this was quite good. It was interesting to see, like, honestly, just how he was able to translate, like, I might not have seen his other works around this time period, but I know what they look like, right? Like, I know the famous cuts, the famous, like, direction, the scene layout, stuff like that. And that is all, like, seeing how that is translated to a, you know, lower budget, limited window type thing I think that's pretty interesting. I think overall it was pretty effective with what it had. I think the environments all really match this. I mean, obviously the core notion of the show is paranoia, right? Everyone is paranoid and freaking out about Little Slugger, about society, about the people that they're dealing with, other people. Everyone's scared of something, and these environments are so claustrophobic and like colored in such a way that like really like just keep you on edge, I guess. Like there's a lot of scenes at sunset, there's a lot of scenes at twilight. Is in terms of like as a work, I think it really serves its themes well. If I had one complaint about this is it's that this is something I felt about Perfect Blue and other things, is I feel like Satoshi Kon, even if it's not overtly bad, I feel like he very much leans on, and the intention is obviously to portray like society, but it is a very limited idea of like what society finds scary. And like a lot of it ends up being, you know, overweight people, mental illness, things like that. And it's like, I know that he was smarter than what I'm implying, but it's like at a certain point with some of the stuff in this show, like it's like, okay, this is probably scary to like a really basic milquetoast person in 2004, right? Like,
Yeah.
but like fundamentally, like looking at it today, we look at it and we say, oh, this is interesting. Like we understand this, but it definitely is the type of thing that stuck out to me when I was watching it, where I was like, oh man, this was intended to be scary in 2004, probably. Like this was supposed to be something that really made someone in 2004 go, damn, that's fucked up. I think especially with, it's episode 3, I think, with the dissociative identity disorder woman. I felt like, even though at the time period that is arguably a much more sympathetic portrayal of someone with that, like there's a doctor who's helping her, there's all this other stuff, but at the same time it was very much like
It goes into an extreme.
yeah, exactly.
To suggest that like you said, like there's like actually incredibly like sensitive and very sympathetic points where like she actually has like a doctor that understands what she's going through and is very helpful to her and is not judging her. Like she actually has a great like and legitimately there is certainly like an anxiety and like really horrific situation where like, you know, she doesn't quite know who she is and she doesn't know like how to deal with it still, regardless of the help she's getting. And for sure that is a struggle. But like, yeah, it goes into the extreme of like, just, you know, that whole like, you know, again, you mentioned you've watched Perfect Blue, but yeah, again, that whole thing of like fighting within herself. And then it gets to the certain point where like, oh, she could have like killed someone maybe. And that's, you know, like, which is not an everyday occurrence. Like, you know, it doesn't, I'm pretty sure it doesn't necessarily go to that extreme where it escalates to that point. You know, I'm sure that can happen, but like, just like, again, as someone who's looking on to the inside of this, who cannot relate to this, and like, you know, does not go through something like that, it could be misleading for sure.
Yeah, I think that it just represents this like that is what I mean. Like it's just like there is a lot of sympathetic examinations and stuff like that in general in this show, but there are some times where it's just like that is like the horror in itself is just this mental illness. Wouldn't it be scary to deal with someone who had this problem or something like that? And you know, the show covers a lot of different people with a lot of different situations that I think it ends up being like, okay, it's fine, but it was something that stuck out to me, especially with like the artistic, like how they draw, like, again, like I said, overweight people, I think really sticks out. It feels like that's a consistent thing in Kohn's work, where it's just like, could you imagine the grossest thing possible? It's anyone who's not 10 pounds, like.
Right. Like a lot of the characters who are overweight in this series are bad people.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. And like, the intention was there. You know, it's very blatant in regards to like, evilness being associated with ugliness, right?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
It's very intense. I think that certainly is like a problem across like a lot of the character designs he's involved with. That's certainly like a recurring pattern for sure that is noticeable.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still a great show. I do want to say that. And I do think that you know, the music's great too. That was something I forgot to say about the presentation.
Oh my god, yeah,
really great. Just holy
Suzuki
shit.
Hirasawa,
yeah, Maverick.
He holds it down. Like, he has been a consistent collaborator
Yeah.
with like a lot of Cohn's work. I don't know when it started specifically, but I know that like heavily, I believe he's been involved since Perfect Blue, but if not then, he composed Millennium Actress, and that Millennium Actress is
Yeah.
a fantastic score. Like, amazing compositions, and still same here. Like, the opening is so electrifying and just really sets up the foundation for what the fucking rest of the show is going to be. Just incredible. Incredible work. Yeah. Started working with him since like Millennium Actress. And then also composed Paranoia Agent and Paprika. So, very electrifying score. Also knows how to just have a lot of silence invoked as well. Like, the sound design is very well done and adds to that heightened sense of paranoia. Because, half of it is the visual, but then the other half is just having that lingering sense of something over your shoulder. And I think the sound design really does a lot to evoke that.
Definitely. Yeah. I think that notion of like, something over your shoulder, I think that's like the most effective nature of the Little Slugger as a narrative device, right? Like, it's this idea of like, is it going to happen now in this episode? Like, when will it happen? Because there are times where it happens like halfway through an episode sometimes, or it just happens at the end.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. But it is definitely an interesting thing to move it forward. What are your thoughts on the work as a whole, Maverick, while we have you here talking about the music?
Oh, God, work as a whole? Like, this is one of my favorites. Because I still have not worked through all of Satoshi Kon's work, but from what I've seen, which have not seen Perfect Blue, but I did get to see Millennium Actress, and I have seen Tokyo Godfathers, which also phenomenal, and the transition from Godfathers into Paranoia Agent, one caught me off guard just because like I didn't realize that was the order of everything. I always assumed Tokyo Godfathers was a later work before Paprika.
Oh, yeah. Tokyo Godfathers is like right before the series, I think.
Yeah, just very consecutive. I mean, everything after Perfect Blue is very consecutive and then takes the break into Paprika. But no, I mean, like, I think it is very interesting to me the way that if I were to really narrow it down, the three artists that I can think of, directors that I can think of that really had a palpable feeling for the way that, like, globalization and mass communication affect the way that we just exist. Like, Satoshi Kon is one of them. Next is Mamoru Hosoda. And then it's the Lane guy, but then the Lane guy got, like, base-pilled. And so it's just like, well, you definitely represent another aspect of how the internet turns us into ghosts when you're making a Digimon sequel that talks about cancel culture. But in the case of Kon and like Hosoda, they are both, I think, people that recognize the way that technology advances and just affects the way we live our lives. Where Hosoda is very like forward thinking about it and forthcoming about it. Kon, I would say, is similar, but in a way that is still just like wanting to be mindful of the realistic horror that can come out of those situations. And very easy subtext to get out of just like the overall communication of it all. Like, ultimately, it's a show about the societal pressure that just, one, takes over Japan in general, but two, looking at it in 2021, that everyone feels, where it's kind of just a collective burden. The fact that the series opens with everyone on their phones complaining about like what is troubling them, but not feeling that they could actually like talk about it out loud because that would be rude or unjust. It is very similar to the fact that I can't act, or it's like, oh, I can't actively do something about this, but I can at least complain about it on social media. It's a very palpable sensation where it's like, shit sucks, and the bare minimum that I can have is an outlet of some kind. to at least like express my frustration. And ultimately, like the big contender, like to get into getting into a bit of spoiler territory, you know, Lil Slugger does not exist. He is not an actual person, rather Tsukiko Sagi, the first victim of Lil Slugger, fabricated the experience because of the fact that she is a character designer being overstressed, overworked, and overwhelmed, and in a moment of high anxiety and high stress about just having to deal with that kind of work, tries to induce like a basically like self-harms, but in a way where recognizing that there could be a whole load of problems to deal with by just saying, hey, I like did this to myself, fabricates an attacker. Where now there is a fabrication of just this idea that, oh, this is the thing that will be traumatic enough that people can understand where I'm at. And I think it does a very interesting... the show is very interesting in the way that it recognizes, like, the reality that we only... with a very condensed news cycle, there needs to be something of that grand a scale for people to care about. Again, to bring it into a modern equivalent, it's the idea, like, you would get Twitter threads that are saying, like, why is nobody talking about Lil Slugger? And just shouting out the various...
Jesus.
Like, it is... it's very easy to, like, oh, this predicted the future, and it's amazing, but, like, it's less that, but more so recognizing that these patterns of like distress and means to find help in a oppressive capitalistic structure are omnipresent and continue to propagate when you don't actually change the system.
Yeah, I think that's always the thing that comes up with these works, right? Is it's one thing to say that this is the future, but it really is just like this pattern will always happen. Yeah, like this type of thing always happens.
Change.
People are the same is the thing.
You can say that your work offers you mental health days, but will you still feel okay saying I'm taking a mental health day? No, you're still going to attach an illness to it. You're still going to attach something that is worthy enough. I'm using the biggest air quotes there to put in the reality of that, like, the system needs to change in order for there to be the ability to have those borders that even now in the age of mental health conversations being rampant, but at the same time the language being abused by workforces, you know, it's still important to recognize, like, it is very easy to want to have your little slugger where you're at your point and you can't take it anymore, to just whack you upside the head so you can have your moment of bliss and say that, hey, I had this happen to me. I don't have to worry about this anymore. But the reality is that we can have that. And rather, to get into specific episodes, episode 11 is very poignant in just having the show's ethos laid out. If you had any trouble trying to figure it out. So to get specifically into episode 11, which it's the show is an anthology. There's no like set order. Rather, it's a matter of like how stories interconnect and how stories get through. There's a narrative that progresses, but you know, it's not like intrinsic. It doesn't like necessitate that you immediately get through everything. But anyway, episode 11 focuses on the wife of the detective that's leading the Lil Slugger case, Ikari. So
Ikari, to distinguish him from the other one.
And so his
who goes a different
wife,
direction.
Misae, basically is like having a confrontation with Lil Slugger. And more or less is just out... again, is talking to this shadowy representation of Lil Slugger, who at this point has been propagated across the town, has been talked about, has been made wives' tales of, has had so many things give it this unbelievable power that it is basically a conversation Misaya is having with just like the reality of her own mortality. And it comes to a point where she is basically saying, like, yeah, I could sit here, I could wish for some delusion to take me away from my reality, or I could do so many things that could, like, try and ease the pain of what's going on. But rather than do that, I'm at least being able to say, I'm here, this event that is happening, and I can't change the fact that it is happening. But at the very least, I can do my best to move past it and work towards a space where I can still feel comfortable. Like, it is a show that very much promotes mindfulness in a way where it's like recognizing, yeah, shit sucks, but at the very least, finding the thing that lets you still work past it, and finding the way to still find a sense of resiliency is going to be the thing that saves you, not a lens of escapism, or a means to try and, like, get away from what is, like, bugging you. Not in a way that it's like, oh, you just gotta grit your teeth and get through it, but more so, you know, the recognition of the stakes of your situation while still being able to find the things that, like, do ground you in what goes on.
I am always impressed by your ability to quickly convey analysis like that. Thank you for your service every time.
I mean, I just, like, I don't know. I guess it's easy for me now that I'm looking at a new job, and it's been like, no, we keep picking series, or like, I stumble into series that just, like, hit me at the right moment. And this is very much the thing where it's like, oh, yeah, no, I've definitely had those days where it's like I'm just looking at the sidewalk and thinking, if I calculated this correctly, the bus could probably hit me in a way that, like, I could at least get some money out of it and maybe a few days off. But then I step back and I'm thinking, well, no, because I still have to, like, do the thing. I still, and that's what, like, gets me back into it. It's like I still need to experience the thing that's going to happen, and yeah, maybe it'll suck, but I'll at least have gone through it and can, like, go to the next day. Which, in terms of, like, that very morbid and macabre conversation about the inevitability of death, episode 8 is, like, the best, one of the best episodes.
It's pretty good.
It's so good.
It's pretty good.
Oh, God. Do we want to pivot into just, like, what our favorite episodes were? If I'm gonna start just picking apart, like, specifics.
Yeah, sure. I have to think about
because I can at least do the focus on episode 8. So episode 8 is...
I agree with you entirely. It when I was sitting down, again, I've seen this series before. The moment that episode hit, I was like, no, I remember this vividly. I know exactly what happens. That is the episode specifically that I remember at the back of my mind when I first saw the show as a preteen. Like, hands down. And I think a lot of it having to do, it's one of the episodes being a self-contained story where it doesn't really, you know, interject with the main narrative going on with all those other characters. And specifically the Moromi storyline. And I think that is why. And for some reason, I just remember nights where, like, you know, they're probably... I believe they re-syndicated, like, Paranoia Agent several times in Adult Swim. But I clearly remember that for some reason, that episode was just on rerun a lot. Or for some reason, I just happened to catch the series where they're playing that episode. Very weird, very eerie. But that episode is burned into the back of my mind. Especially, like every detail about it, for sure.
Yeah. And so episode 8, Happy Family Planning, is about a group of friends that meet...
Excellent title, too.
Group of friends that meet from online and are going to have a very fun time. And then through a series of revealing the chat logs that they have, you realize, oh, this is a suicide pact. Yeah. And it involves a middle-aged gay man, a older man who I believe just like lost everything. I forget why the old man, he might have just like come to a point where he's like done with everything. And their third friend, so it's middle-aged,
which neither of them expected,
young man
a child.
Is Zebra, old man is Fuyubachi, and then there's
Yeah.
Kamome, who is a little girl. And they're thinking, yo, we can't have you do this. Like, this is fucked.
Yeah, and much of the episode, they're trying to run away from her.
Yeah.
And they're, like, trying to kill themselves before, like, she gets involved, and it doesn't work out. Yeah.
But then, still begging to be like, hey, I want to be with you all. And there's just a beautiful series of slapstick scored by just very...
like, dark, the darkest of humor.
Oh, God, just
For sure.
very well done. The score shifts from the standard, like, Hirazawa pieces to something that's much more resembling of, like, a silent film or a, like, Looney Tune. Just very whimsical to offset the reality that, like, these are three people trying to kill themselves. And, God, I think about this scene with the train where they're, oh my God, where, they try to, or finally, like, quick cut to one of their, like, chat logs where it's like, I hear that throwing yourself in front of the train is pretty romantic. They try and set this up. They try and have that plan. As soon as the train comes by, you just see another, like, salaryman leap into the air and take that hit. And they're all just like, ugh. So,
and there's, like, a pregnant pause that's very quiet.
Yep.
Like, and it's like, what the fuck? Like as a view, like, for the viewer service to process that just happened, the crowd in the shot itself does not react for like a good solid several seconds, which is, like, baffling.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And then, ultimately, the big twist of this episode is that, surprise, they were dead the whole time. Mm-hmm. And just beautifully done, a very self-contained episode, but at the same time still is very poignant to, like, the ethos of the show, where it's just like, there is a society that is being propagated where the happiest people, arguably, in this series are the ones that have already died and have one another in death. While everyone else is still trying to find a means to grapple with whatever it is that is happening, the only unequivocal bliss is coming from the people that aren't even in the same plane of existence.
It also goes to your earlier points about, like, the core issue when, a lot, of course, like, the institutions, like, at play and, like, a lot of these things forcing people into their issues they have and further, like, digging deeper. Just, we see this in, like, the commuting scenes, like, on the train, and people are, like, complaining, but no one's actually talking to each other. They're actually just texting someone on their phone, or they're talking on the phone, but no one's actually interacting with each other on the train. But we're seeing, like, this, barrage of, like, comments and stuff. And not, whatnot. And it's just visualizing and, like, giving you, the viewer, like, okay, that's what they're talking about on their phones. And they're probably just posting on social media, etc. And, the whole thing where, like, Tsukiko, she goes to I think it's, like, a guest book on her website, actually. It seems like that's what that was. It's, like, comments on her personal, she has to go to those things for validation. Yeah. And then she sees the negative comments, and that's, like, an interesting, like, prelude to, like, before the viewer would typically know at that point, like, oh, the whole thing is, like, fabricated. Well, the Slugger is fabricated. Like, this issue of people internalizing their emotions and not really speaking out to each other, and not really, just instead resorting to ranting on social media, or resorting to just, like, keeping it all in, and instead, like, that's just encouraging more negativity. Like, the other side to the Happy Family Planning episode is that it's like the strangest found family story.
Yeah.
It's like they found each other in death. But on the other hand, like, and they didn't even know they died until, like, the very end. They didn't realize, like, oh shit, okay. Which, in some way, that's not, like, what they wanted. They wanted to experience death, but they just totally, like, slept on it, and the implication is that at some point in the beginning, they were trying to kill themselves through poisoning in like an abandoned building. And I think it's in that moment where they actually died. Like the building actually was being destroyed and because it was condemned and they didn't realize, that was probably the point to imply where they probably died. But the whole point is like, they're escaping life. They're trying to like, they're like, like the child, I'm not sure. Very strange. I'm not sure why she wanted to die. Actually, I still don't know. But it's very much like if they found each other earlier, there's something ironic and bittersweet where maybe they wouldn't have wanted to kill themselves, It's a whole thing about like if they develop these human connections before they reach that point, they would have been much happier for it, from whatever situation they were in that had led them to resort to this point. But instead, ultimately they found it in death otherwise, without them realizing it. Again, it just speaks to the whole nature of the whole series where the human connection is like very broken in this like otherwise very dense big city.
Mm-hmm. God, like I'm trying to think about other episodes that really stood out to me. The latter half has some really solid, just like one shots. Like I'm also
the anime studio episode.
Mellow Marumi is very good. Just a very well done mystery, really, about just like what's going on. ETC, the episode in between, episode 9. Also very fun in terms of just being able to say, like, again, like, it's not just the method of communication. Kon having the chance to go back and say, I'm not just saying it's because you be on that phone. Here are, like, housewives that are also having their fun with the rumors that are going around. And then it's just... One, it's that, but then also it's a very good isolation of when you can't get in on a bit and like how devastating that can feel if you're not in on the bit. Because God, new housewife in the block is trying to converse with other housewives in the area, and they're all telling like gossipy tales about Lil Slugger. She tries to jump in on it, and at every single point it's just like, that didn't happen. How can you tell that goes? Like, just constantly getting berated for the fact that even though her husband is a scriptwriter, she somehow can't actually get a decent story going about like a little slugger attack. Then, husband gets whacked, and then she's just like, yo, you gotta tell me what happened. I need this tea. I gotta impress the ladies. Paranoia Agent is a really funny show. Like, there is definitely the horror.
It is, yeah.
There's the
It
horror.
is though. No, like where it's funny, it's intentional. Yeah. I think for me, I actually think a lot about which is what was it? Episode 5, the fucking Dragon Quest episode. Yeah. Fucking Dragon Quest truly was a cultural reset for Japan. The moment Dragon Quest existed, nothing was safe anymore.
What were you gonna do when that bubble popped, right? Like, that's how it feels. You're sitting at home playing fucking the Dragon Quest games you bought.
Oh, for sure. And there's something to be said about too, specifically, as I was saying, like, this series, very much is like, again, it's very much another piece of media that is a very direct response to post-bubble, post-war Japan specifically. Like, again, a lot of the allusions towards nuclear are towards the end, and you see a lot of those allusions in the opening sequence. And kind of like weirdly enough in like how the shape of I'm overlooking it, but like I don't know, just like and Marumi's design too. I know like it's a stretch to say like, oh, she looks like a mushroom, but also it's just like it's blatantly like a commentary on like how capitalism is in Japan, and like as much as I love this shit, as much as I would be that fucker who would like, oh yes, I would like a huge Marumi plushie, please.
Yeah.
It still doesn't exist. I don't know why to this day they haven't capitalized that.
I feel like
that's
Cone has
cowardice.
Like somehow said in some context like, don't you fucking dare.
Don't fucking... Complete opposite of Hideki Ono, who's like, yes, make the ray finger, sure.
Thing, like,
absolute image.
Well, the biggest thing too, it's like, I look at Paranoia Agent and I'm just going like, oh, you got to Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 like 16 years before Anno did.
Yeah, early.
But part of it is the fact that Anno was very... Eva is a very like self-in-focused story, so it could only...
Oh, yeah.
It would take the extra time to get to that point because of the fact that it would take Anno 16 years to actually, like, analyze his own series and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
there.
for sure. And that shows, I'm sure, in the recent
whereas
movies.
like Kon has always been focused
his own growth.
Kon has always been focused on like the societal aspect, or like always looking outward in terms of like how things go. It's the reason why like so many of his works incorporate things where like he wants to have a focus on marginalized people if possible, focused on marginalized like aspects of Japanese society if possible. Millennium Actress is a very detailed love letter not only to Japanese cinema, but the reality that is being someone that is both affected by the past surrounding World War II and everything that came out of that, but then also the reality of Japan's history as a imperialist country to an extent, and the way that like it has also affected things.
No, absolutely. Well,
it's such a very like dense look at everything, where it makes sense that after like 3 consecutive movies focusing on these realities, he goes ahead and makes a show that's just like an overarching theme, but also every episode can be every other idea that could easily be its own like 90-minute or 2-hour work. Because that's the thing.
Yeah, I think the series was outright conceived because he had a lot of ideas that he didn't know how to translate into movies, per se. And I think the series, too, is a great... I think this is one of his most underrated works, because I feel like not a lot of people talk about it when talking about his movies. I feel like they're treated as separate things, but no, for sure. I think the series needs to be upheld in, like, when talking about film discussion as well. Because, I agree. Like, a lot of these episodes can be treated as, like, standalone vignettes. And episode 5 in particular, like I was saying about like Moromi as a character, like, and like how, the first kind of like character that establishes the web of like everything that happens in Tsukiko, that in itself is like a stand-in for like kawaii culture. And like, unfortunately how, like all the huge merchandising and all that stuff in Japan, and like the hoarding mentality of like collecting figures, it's, that unfortunately is, the series is kind of commenting on like how that is like just a band-aid effect to like a lot of economic issues Japan faces. And like, again, the whole going back to where like a lot of people are internalizing problems, but not really addressing them, or unfortunately, because the government's not addressing them. So people have to turn to the stuff in this way as a way to like channel their frustrations and vent. Yeah. And in episode 5, where the 2 detectives feel like they narrowed down the suspect, who might be actually a little slugger. Unclear at that point. He's just a fucking Junie. He is, again, Dragon Quest. Speaking of, again, Dragon Quest, like, the Japan bubble pop. He just thinks he's, like, some sort of, like, warrior. He has to defeat these monsters. And he thinks he's saving them. And they translate the episode in this goofy... The episode is depicted in this very goofy way between reality and fiction and within this guy's head. Like, seeing the characters we've seen across these series as different boss types, basically, different monsters, and one of the detectives, like, is in on it, and he's like, yeah, I get this shit, which kind of foreshadows his own, like, fall into delusion towards the end of the series, while the other detective, Ikari, is like, what the fuck is this? He's just, like, completely out of it, which in itself is ironic, because towards the finale, he succumbs to that, especially lamenting, like, after the 2 of these guys lose their jobs because they kind of failed this case, right? Or I forgot what it was specifically. It was like they failed this case, or like, the mishandling of it to figure out who the slugger was.
I'm remembering now, the suspect that they have, Kozuka, in episode 5, basically kills himself while under custody. Yeah, there you go. It's like, dude.
And then they find another guy, and it's like, oh, well, and ultimately in the end, Ikari like falls into this delusion as well, where he's reminiscing with this old man, which I think like this incredible, stunning like finale where he goes into this like fantasy world that I think harkens back to the Showa era, right? I think that's what it's trying to do.
Trying to be
like towards the late 60s, 80s Japan. He's like, he's reminiscing about, like, oh, the good old days when things were simpler and more black, like one of those, like, boomer thoughts, he's just like, and then, that's where it also unpacks his relationship with his wife, who is just dying, and like that, the the hardships they were doing with that relationship between each other because of the guilt they felt with each other, but they never really again, internalizing emotions where they never really talked about it, or they never really sat down together to really unpack, like, we shouldn't feel guilty about each other, but now we're at this point where, his wife is dying and he has to move on and he has to accept reality. Like, yeah, it's just a very solid series, I think, for sure. Like,
and I mean, like,
it needs to be unpacked
to
more.
talk
Yeah,
about the catalyst of everything,
yeah.
So, Tsukiko made up Little Slugger, very much related as well to the mascot that everyone is loving, Marumi. And the reason why is the fact that, as a kid, Tsukiko had a dog, also named Marumi, and through just, the sheer ignorance of a child, leash gets loose, car comes by, kills the dog. Rather than admit to that, because, as a kid, immediately thinking, I let this happen, I'm going to get in trouble, comes up with a lie. The lie being, someone came by and hit me, and I couldn't take care of the dog after. And I think that as well, just the reality that it's like, at such a young age, this cycle can, like, become implemented, of just being able to trying to find an escape rather than wanting to create a means to actually work alongside or, like, struggle through and give an attempt at what's going on. It's like, I don't know, I guess I'm also just on my teacher feelings about this, but it's like the kid, or even just remembering growing up in, like, high school, where it's like,
it manifests if it doesn't get resolved. Yeah, for sure.
And they're just like, oh, just kidding. It's like, you can say you're wrong. No one's going to blame you for being wrong.
Right.
But, like, that's the thing. There's such a laser-focused fear of not being in the right, or of having to recognize that they're, like, there is consequence. And that ultimately comes from the fact that, if you can't create any kind of production, or if you cannot, add to the capital of someone else's overall gain, then you fall behind and you ultimately get left short. And rather than do that, there's
like the whole thing where, like, Moromi's, like, fucking successful, is making bank, like, in a joy, and yet Tsukiko, for some reason, pressured to immediately make a new character.
God, that,
like, that like, that is what
10, where the, like, head of the marketing comes by and is like, oh, we're sorry that you're also overworked and that you're being very tired. To help you out, we made these Marumi
the resentment
pillows.
Yeah.
We're giving you
pillows. To the anime studio.
We're giving you pillows so that you can have something nice.
Right, well, they're all fucking literally dying. Like, it's the most blatant, like, explicit, like, commentary on, like, the state of the anime studio industry, like, hands down. Just that moment in particular, let alone the fact that they're all dropping dead one by one.
Yeah, exactly.
That episode,
like, it's just God. I never gave the show a shot because I was legitimately too scared. Because, the the cult legend that this show propagated in, like, Western circles of just like, yo, this fucked me up. But in reality, that
was its own paranoia agent.
It's a very fantastic series. If you somehow have not been convinced to check it out, like, watch it. It's very palpable. It's fantastic. I
think it's generally accessible too, compared to his other work.
Leave off of there's a YouTuber I watch every now and then whenever he posts stuff, but he had been coming across this, like, film series specifically about Satoshi Kon, and very specifically looking at the filmography in a way that it relates to a very specific kind of Greek philosophy, where basically a lot of, like, anything in the world can be condensed down to the manifestation of love and hate as two separate energies, and these energies being in opposition, thus leading to like the creation of the elements, the creation of like everything else. Like there is a continual movement of these two elements, specifically in terms of the possession of love, the loss of love, the absence of love, and the pursuit of love. And this just being a cycle that repeats. With Paranoia Agent, if I think about that framework, I immediately like think about the idea that there is a loss, starting out in the loss and absence of love, and ultimately the series argues for ways to have that pursuit and ultimately get back to that possession. That you start in the spiteful and the hateful, because that's just the way that this society works right now. That's the way that waking up at an ungodly hour to make a piss poor to fairly decent amount of money for someone else that is making much more than you, for hours that they do not have to worry about, and for things that they will never have to worry about. Ultimately, the pursuit is for things that exist outside of that. And to have that love is to be able to recognize when you are able to really just exist as you are, with the good and the bad.
Yeah, the series truly, I think, encapsulates what, like, it has a lot of shared, like, especially in terms of visuals, and similar themes in regards to escapism and how certain pressures, make, institutional pressures, unfortunately, further worsen that experience. And, like, I think with this being a precursor to Paprika, actually one of his last works, this makes a lot of sense. I think, like, in a way, this was kind of like a working demo of what Paprika ends up being, which is essentially about dreams, and very similar themes of, like, falling into fantasy because you don't know how to cope with everything else in the world. So then you're gonna have to falter that. And arguably what might have influenced Inception, but we, that's a different debate for a different day. But this is for sure like another, for sure. He kind of has like a short library of work anyway, but for sure, if this is not something one has tackled yet in regards to Satoshi Kon, and if you're interested in his other work, this is like definitely a must. If anything, this could be like this could be a great introductory piece.
Oh, definitely.
Too. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to say that's quite enough Paranoia Agent discussion, but I'm glad. I'm glad. I think like this is the type of conversations that I love to see.
Love to hear it.
Actually have this long additional speech from former Unlimited Railworks writer.
Let's hear
Trixie.
opinions.
Yeah.
Let's hear opinions from the listeners.
So yeah, we have this. I don't know. Do we have? Okay, that is what we got. Okay, we got this. Okay. Oh boy. As Satoshi Kon decided to work again with Madhouse and shift gears from film to television, an interesting thing happens. Nearly right from the start, you can tell how much fun he and his team are having in every aspect. The shift from focusing on a small group of main characters to a wide variety of cast members, and from making a 2-hour film into a 13-episode television show, kicks open the creative side of Kon in a much more direct and loose, yet still cohesive and fun way. Despite never missing, it's clear that the show is above and beyond a passion project, allowing people to realize just what it is that anime can do and get away with. In moving to television, Kon wanted to reuse several old ideas that weren't able to be worked in prior films, squaring in on what Kon refers to as a relay race method, aka hyperlink cinema. Each new character in each episode is disparate from each other, yet intrinsically connected, revealing a larger part of the show's mystery and its themes within each new line, each new character. While not new to anime at all, like Baccano, the way Kon and his team hop from character to character, storyline to storyline, in order to convey a loose and free-flowing narrative that all coalesces by its end akin to a dreamlike or fantastical state, much like his other works, is especially unique to his style. This allows the story to push the edge of what should be possible within its world, further and further until it spills over completely, with the fuzzy internal logic making sense all the way through. What makes Paranoia Agent stand out in particular compared to his other works is the message it conveys. In satirizing and critiquing Moe culture and an insistence on perpetually escaping from reality through fiction, themes that themselves find ways into his other works in some form, Satoshi Kon ends up touching on something much larger. His works before, and Paprika after, all flirt with the border of reality versus fiction versus dreams, but all touch upon the more individual aspects of struggle despite the effects of society upon the individual. Paranoia Agent stretches this thought to include all aspects of society and how they intermingle with each other, emphasizing a collective need to stick together and help one another out. In perpetually escaping from reality through fiction, or continuing to ignore fiction altogether for the cold hard facts of the world itself, one shuts themselves out from others and risks giving in to the frantic, overwhelming nature of a capitalistic society, making it far too easy to give up. But in continuing to stand firm in the real world, being cautious of the effects of fiction without writing it off altogether, we can inspire hope in each other and push to make the world a better place, free from its nihilistic trappings and seductions. That is the most potent message Kon has ever left for us. I think that's an interesting side of it because that's definitely taking another look at it. Like
for sure.
The idea of it being focused more on the fiction, right? Definitely something that I imagine Kon was probably considering as well.
Because if you watch the series to the end, it definitely feels like it ends on a cynical note in a way. There's something about it that seems very, towards the end, you see at least Tsukiko, who seems like she's learned to move on. In some ways, it also implies she might have gotten a new job too, because she's like wearing an office lady uniform, which is not something you would see often in America. But like for sure, there's some offices in Japan, some companies seem like there's still like some sort of specific dress code in a lot of offices, especially in regards to office women. Yet on the screen, and yet we see a repeating shot though from the first episode where on the train, people it's just a crowded train. No one's talking to each other. There's like no one happy, but to be fair, commuting is hell. Yes, I get it. But yeah, like the repeating of that first episode shot seems to suggest that these things are cyclical, unfortunately. Like something like Will Slugger is going to happen again in some manifestation. And on the screen, it focuses on a new cute character as well. But I think in some ways it's not entirely negative. It's not meant to be entirely cynical, especially, with Trixie's very eloquent piece shared with us. Thank you. Excellent. I think it pretty much sums up a lot of what we discussed as well and adds on to it. Especially in regards to, we see snippets of some of the characters we've, again, gone through the journeys of throughout the series where, again, they've moved on. But for sure, it definitely harkens the message and hammers on, like, listen, if things don't change, it's just, if it's not going to happen to these people, it's going to happen to someone else, That's kind of what it kind of gives, right?
Whew, all right. I think we can say good program. Good show.
Program. Good job. It's certainly a shame because it would have been, again, he's like a film director, but it would have been so interesting if he's done other series. And like, I think this is the only one technically. Yes,
I believe that's
so.
The case. Yes.
He has done work as like, like not non-director, he's like, a key animator. But it would have been so interesting if he's done other formats.
It would have even just been interesting to see like how modern anime influenced his work and stuff like that. Because even just like
10 years later,
just the 10 years has changed anime so much, right? Like, what do you have to say about isekai or something?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Sorry to steal it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I would love his take on isekai.
I would have loved him. I would have loved if he would own isekai. I would have loved what he would have said about isekai. Absolutely.
He would have done actually on like the fucking hospital bed the entire time after getting hit by the fucking truck.
Yep. God. It would. Yeah. Oh, God.
Speaking of isekai, no, show proper. No, we don't have to go straight to isekai. Maverick,
we can take a break from isekai.
Yeah, we can take a break from isekai. Maverick, what have you been watching? Do you want to talk about, a continuing show or something that you checked in on?
I can do a little bit of both because I think there's like a very specific connecting point for both. But
sure, go for it.
So Blue Period has been continuing along, and it's a very interesting position. Like, still focused in on Yuichi? Yeah, Yuichi's growth as an artist. The new setup recently is that like he's going to a prep program, just getting additional like art prep on the side to get ready for those evals and upcoming tests. Not only did we get a very tall MILF in the yeah, no, she rolls. She's really cool. She's a great teacher, great art teacher. Honestly, all the art teachers so far, like low key, like some baddies. Like yo, like hey yo, like let's go. But that aside, no, it just a very continual. Like it is still wanting the lens of like having Yuichi as someone that is like so new to the world of art, where it's like, you know, oh, let's take you to the museum. Like, let's see if we can like appreciate what's a part of art. And you know, the immediate thought is like, oh, I don't know anything about this. I don't understand what's going on. And then to have somebody be like, dude, if you engage with it thoughtfully, you still have an opinion on art. You still have an opinion that is valid, even if you don't have years of critique behind you, because you're still putting your input in a capacity that lets you still like create future work. And then alongside that, people are getting to a point where like work is being criticized in a way where it's like, hey, you know, like you're again able to replicate things that are on the you're able to replicate the reality onto canvas, but are you putting your own perspective into it? Are you putting your own spin on it? And slowly getting that idea of like, oh, okay, like what art, like a very well done thing in the recent episode of just being able to say like, hey, you know, if you look at this painting, like what is the main composition? Is it mainly circles? Is it mainly like breaking it down in a way where even like me as someone that is not even like painting or like drawing inclined was like, oh, wow, yeah. It makes sense that if you're trying to set up a painting, like you would want a specific kind of style or delineation to it, and taking that to heart alongside a lot of stuff where like ultimately that just pushes him to a next level of his art in a way where it's like, oh, there's more things that I can think about. And so that's been neat to see. And then funnily enough, or not funnily enough, but just like something that I didn't even expect when it came to things that would come up in the show, and then now that I think about it, has not really been touched on recently, is the existence of a canonically queer character in Blue Period. And let me go ahead and find her name again so that I can not fuck it up. And not let me see here. The manga. Alright, it is a yeah, Yuka, I believe. Ayakawa. Is and I am still using the phrasing of queer, if only for the fact that I recognize that Japan's interpretation of gender is different at points to the way that often gender and sexuality can be interpreted in the US. And at least recognizing that in terms of parallels to what we have in terms of language and recognition, Yuka is trans and like has been trying to use art as a means to deal with her own like feelings about her gender, and the way that like that comes into ways that trying to find herself involved with other people. And just like episode 2 had a very immediate conversation with that, where it's like, oh wow, I didn't recognize that this was going to be brought up in any capacity. I had not read the manga as well, and so to have this just come by, not even in like a, because anime just has a very sordid history with queer representation. If it's like if it is anything that is popular and often like helmed by a straight cis showrunner or writer. And so to have something that like took the time to be pensive about it, and again, like thinking about it from translation to like spoken audio track, something like English can inherently be gendered, and so some stuff comes across in a way where it's like, is that the language that could have been used? But then still giving enough grace to think, okay, this might be better represented in the native language, but also just, it wasn't anything that tried to be gross. It gave Yuka the space to have an exploration about how she is feeling about this, and ultimately I'm just hoping that there is more of her in the near future. So that's how that's going.
I had seen some posts about the character from Komi.
Yeah, and I can go a little bit into Komi, but I can do that like in a
Yeah, you can do it
Yeah.
later. It's fine. It's fine.
which again,
But that was making me think of it.
yeah.
No, yeah. Huh. Well, you talking more about the show does make me want to. Like, you had already got me a little bit last time, and now
It's not
I
bad.
can kind of
Like,
just yeah.
but sometimes being able to have a thing that's not bad is enough, like, motivation.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, totally. All right. So now I'm sorry, Isekai time.
At least you apologize. It's okay.
It's okay. Only one of these is an Isekai. So
Oh,
it's fine.
okay.
The Hitman Isekai, which I did find out, and this was like when you find out like the hidden lore that connects everything.
Oh.
I watched 3 episodes of this, and then I found out the dude who made it made a redo of Healer,
Oh.
Oh.
the unfortunate anime from a couple seasons ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, this makes every woman in this show make sense. Okay, so
Oh no.
it's not that bad. It's not as
Okay.
bad, but it's reflective of a
Right.
mindset, right?
It's like, it's like you have the moment of like realization,
Yeah.
understanding. It's like, oh no, it makes sense. Yeah.
So this show's really funny conceptually. I like it a lot. Basically, this 70-year-old hitman dies, and then like a goddess is like, "Hey, I need you to fucking like be a hitman in my isekai world because I fucking really need you to kill the hero of this
So
world."
this is interesting. This is already different from several other isekai where it's like, oh, you got to do your same job in your
Yeah.
previous life. So okay, that kind of
Yeah.
sucks.
And yeah, and he's like, so she's like, so by the time you turn 18, of course, you have to kill the hero, and you can take whatever skills you want. You have to take like whatever like a specific type of skills, but you can take whatever skills you want. But you have 17 years, and I'm gonna do everything I can in my power to like set you up good in life so that you can do this situation. But you better fucking kill that guy. And it's just basically this dude from birth basically planning out an assassination.
Oh man.
And that part is funny. The parts where it shows the real world where he was like a normal hitman was really funny. Because again, old man. It's it is interesting to see like this is a show about like being a hitman, what that entails and stuff like that, and not like the glamorized like I'm a little rogue like but it is I think like the difference is he was like a like standard mercenary type hitman in real life, but like in the fictional world he's very much like a like Assassin's Creed hitman, right? Like the type that's like, oh, we're politically minded, like we're making sure we have a belief system and stuff like that, and him trying to like intersect with that. At its core, it is fundamentally just another isekai, right? It is
Right.
oh, he's doing cool skills, all these women show up, but it is there. He is like sociopathically planning out every single relationship with all of these people so that he can use them for his epic assassinations. And that's the
Yeah.
part where I like go, oh yes, this is the redo of Healer guy, right? Of course. But it doesn't get in the way of it. It is not overwhelmingly like misogynistic or anything. It is not like horny really either. It's like there's some boobs, but it's not that bad. It's something. It is something. It is the most. It's one of the more fun isekais in recent time, is what I'll say, as the sicko who is watching all the isekais for some reason.
That's good, at least.
So that reminds me. This next one, I thought this was an isekai. Just real quick, banished from the hero's party, I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside. Thought this was going to be an isekai. It is not. It's normal fantasy.
Wow. You can do that?
And you can just do that if you can believe it. Somehow, they find a way. This is one of those, the dude just fucking quits and makes a potion shop. Doesn't want to deal with shit anymore.
I remember. Yeah, I remember the description of
You
this.
know me, I love me my potion shops when we watch Shirayuki and shit. Love that. But this is, the thing that strikes me about this show is, I think it has some interesting ideas with what it's examining. It's doing some things like, hey, like, we're actually going to talk about some of the issues with capitalism that come into play, like, even in this small urban setting, like, what does capitalism prevent? Oh, the dude literally invents a potion that would let them create infinite healing drug, right? Like infinite healing potions. They could make infinite healing potions with this thing he wants to sell. However, the guild won't let him sell it because then, then no one will buy healing potions anymore. And it's just like, wow, like, just like light bulbs. And there's a couple other stuff like that. And it's just like him skirting around to figure out what he can sell at his store. Like, oh, we can't sell, like, this new potion that I made. So instead we have to get around the laws around prescription drugs and make them into medicinal cookies.
Damn.
And just a lot of stuff like that. That's fun. And that's like half the show. The other half is this really weird thing where he just has his, like, beautiful elf wife, and his beautiful elf wife has the most ridiculous outfits that I've ever seen, where she's always wears just low-cut shirts that have, like, the entire top of her boobs out, but this is more egregious. Her outfits also all have armpit windows, and I think that's a sin. I think, like, I was like, so when, like, I noticed, like, her fifth outfit she was wearing was
So she's, like, wearing long sleeves, but there's, for some reason, holes.
yeah, I'm going to find an image for you.
No, I already know what this is.
Okay, you can just accept it. You don't have to see. I won't make you see.
Tube top.
But yeah,
No.
You can just design your
holes are
character in a tube top.
yeah. So she's
it's not the
basically doing
same.
that is the thing, but she
it's not
doesn't.
the same.
She has
It's not
sleeves.
like-
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not
no,
like it's not like Reimu from Toho, where it's like, oh, she has, like, the bell
No,
sleeve
you just
things.
you dive into your inner fucking 2000 Draver and you get the fucking, like, arm, like, the arm sock.
I know, like, it is weird. Why is she just not full sleeveless then? But
Yeah, you
No,
do the fucking
I was like,
Yuffie
I
thing.
respect it, but I do not respect it after the armpit. I noticed the armpit one finally, like, on the.
I wouldn't respect that either. No,
Gotta
No.
be normal about that. Come on.
it's impractical as well. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
but, yeah.
I'm asking.
But again, like, I think the show in general is fun.
All right.
Like, it is. They're normal. They're all normal. They're normal people. They're being normal. I'm interested to see how it intersects with, like, basically this guy was like, his sister is the hero, and another member of the team was just basically like, hey man, you don't level up as much as the rest of us, so get the fuck out of here. Like, we don't want you here. And he was just like, okay. But I'm interested to see, like, there's drama going on with that group and how that intersects later on. But as is, quiet slice of life in Fantasy Town. You know, it's fun. Sometimes you just do sword. He teaches some kids about life lessons. It's fun. Easy going. LV,
Yeah.
what's going on with The Vampire Dies in No Time? Because I was thinking of watching it. I'm curious to hear your take.
Gosh, sometimes a lot and sometimes not much.
Yeah.
It's like funny where it's funny, like legitimately funny, and then where it misses, it's really bad or really corny. So the premise is that we're in this world where there is like an economy of like vampires and monsters that exist, but then it's okay because then there's also like an industry of vampire hunters who are keeping things at bay. And it's a very lighthearted comedic setting, no biggie. The main premise is that this one guy who's trying to be taken seriously as a vampire hunter is unfortunately now stuck with a roommate vampire who actually fucking sucks as a vampire named Jean-Luc. And he's just bad at being a vampire. Like, one of the jokes in the first episode is like, why are you even a vampire? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, he literally just dissolves into sand at any slight damage to him. He fucking can't do like basic vampire powers without, again, basically the equivalent of like overpowering himself and then shutting down. So he turns into sand. He just turns into sand a lot. It's really funny. And yeah, the first episode is like he's trying to like raid this guy's castle, Jean-Luc, the vampire hunter, because there's like a kid he's holding hostage or whatever. And turns out the kid's fucking fine. The kid's just like vibing, playing video games. He just thinks the vampire's weird and like he's not doing anything to him. And it's just a lot of really good slapstick comedy in that whole episode where it's just like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And the kid just being like, you two adults are like insane. I'm fine. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. And the end is basically like he just ends up, the castle catches on fire and utterly crumbles down. And then, yeah, now this guy's stuck with him, which goes against the standard of like vampires need to be invited in, but whatever. So this is the premise we're in. Basically, again, it's just an odd couple situation, two oddball roommates stuck with each other and they don't like each other. And the thing is, like, they're all like short bits. So like one episode might have like 3 to 4 segments to it. So 3 to 4 like bits, 3 to 4 skits. So I wonder if like the manga, like I wonder if it's like, actually I'm not sure if it's based on anything actually. I didn't really check. But if it is, I can imagine it might be like a gag manga. But other than that, where like again, just to reiterate, where it's really funny. The first episode is really strong, like was consistently strong off the bat. I just couldn't stop laughing at just like how absurd things were going. There was a moment where Jean-Luc moves into this guy's place. And he just, like the hunter comes in and he's like, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? And then for some reason, Drew has like a pet armadillo named John, which is really good. The best character for no reason other than the fact that it's very cute. It has no spoken lines whatsoever. It just makes cute noises. And there's a recurring bit with John where characters keep apologizing to John for stressing it out whenever something ridiculous happens. And the hunter's asking, like, where the hell did that armadillo come from? I didn't even see it in your castle. And they like cut to like a weird blurry like moment back to the castle where where the camera zooms in on one of the traps, in which one of the traps in like the castle was like a bunch of these cannonballs shooting through the walls, and they freeze frame a moment where they show like this orange ball midair, and they point at it like, that's John, the armadillo. He was there this whole time. It was really good. Again, solid. There are solid moments like that where just the timing and like the timing of it is just very good. And yeah, like I was saying, like they keep apologizing to John because of like everything absurd happening. And there's another bit where like, for some reason the hunter's like, oh, I can use John as like a weapon. Like, I don't know. It was like, there's an agency in this world where like, again, they're keeping vampires in check and they're checking like if they're misbehaving. It's like, oh, we gotta like arrest them or we gotta send the hunters on them. And I think one of them decided to, like an inspection check. I forgot what the context was, but like one of those agents, she decided to like visit their, like the hunter's home to check in if there's like any shenanigans. And the hunter's like, oh fuck. Like, yeah, they know like I have a vampire living with me and they're like gonna, like my ass on fire over it. And he's like, what if I just kill him now? So like they don't have to deal with me, and it also has something to do with his pedigree. Like I think the hunters have like a quota or something to miss. They're basically cops, which is fucked up. He, for some reason, comes up with this absurd idea where he's like, oh yeah, Drew is in another room and the agent doesn't have to know the vampire is here right now. So I'm going to take John, the armadillo, and I'm going to toss him in the other room. He like takes the armadillo, he spreads garlic paste on the armadillo, rolls the armadillo in a ball, throws it in our room, but he fucks up, and John the Armadillo is now unfortunately thrown over an armoire, like, or a closet instead, and the poor thing is just up there in peril. Like, it's just like, oh my gosh, this fucking armadillo is the best thing about this show. And how it ends anyway is that John accidentally kills his owner, the vampire, at the end of the skit anyway, because he comes into, absurd. But yeah, where it fails in the humor is like it sometimes just resorts to really juvenile stuff, like dumb sex humor sometimes, like, which I did not expect. I was like, whoa, I thought it would be like a light family friendly comedy, you know? But stuff like where sometimes other vampires come to them for problem solving. And this one vampire, like, apparently, like, a lot of vampires have very specific specialty skills that, like, would not be typically associated with vampires. Things like, this vampire can control plants, you know, like, just control plants and vegetation. And, you know, like, and like, there's a whole thing where, like, the different hunters are competing to tackle the case, etc. And the end result is that, like, he he controls vines with his dick. Like, that's the funny part. Like, that's the bit. It's like, oh, come on. Like, that's not, like, please. Like, that is literally the joke. Like, oh, it's a weird sexual thing, right? And another one is, like, this other vampire is able to transform into anything it wants, but, like, it's having such a hard time going back to his normal state because, and he's just stuck in, like, this gross, monstrous creature form. Like, it's just, like, it's just, like, a vague monster. Like, has multiple, like a children's drawing. Like, has multiple eyes and tentacles everywhere, etc. And Droluc and the hunter realize, oh, this guy's having problems transforming back because he's fucking horny. Like, that's the problem. Like, oh, he's horny. And then they do this whole thing where they're like, you know what? If we desensitize him with porn, he's gonna be fine and he's gonna turn back. And they actually, like, kind of almost get it right. They're like, oh, okay, like, he just needs to de-horny or whatever. He needs the post-cum brain clarity, right? They don't show anything, obviously, but that's, like, the joke. Like, he has to, like, and then the skit ends where, like, a girl walks into the room and he turns back into a monster again. And it's like, oh, okay. You know, like it's just like, oh gosh, it's just like half misses like that where it's just very juvenile humor. That's not really great. But then other shit like the fucking armadillo, like, that's it. It's perfect. Like, it's great. So it's definitely not something, I would probably follow consistently, but here and there, I'll probably, like, dip my toes into it. So, you know, it's one of those things where, again, where it hits, and then where it doesn't, it's just really bad. And it's like, oh god, this could be better. It also looks great. Like, I don't know, the colors of the show is great. It's, like, very eye-popping and very stylish for what it is, really, which is just a gag show, to be honest. They really put a lot of work into the color design of the show. It's really fun to look at. It does have, like, kind of like what the Aruma color design is, which, again, I don't know, it seems to be a thing across, like, these Halloween-esque, like, not horror, but has horror themes, shows where they have this very bright, saturated, comic-y color palette to it to evoke Halloween, you know? Like, here's a lot of oranges, here's a lot of bright purples, you know? The vampire dies in no time. He dies a lot. And there's John the Armadillo, which, he's never safe. But he always ends up safe. Nothing bad so much bad happens to him, but thankfully he turns out fine in it. There's no animals were harmed, I think.
What this is making me pine after is just more Sleepy Princess.
Again, another show with a similar color design.
But
like, just
more
goofy ghouls and monsters.
Yeah, definitely.
I think there was a second season, like, announced for that, right?
I don't know. If there is, I would be very stoked about that, because that was, I think we all agreed was like our favorite show last year. Yeah,
and Aruma has a season 3 in the works too. So.
Oh, of course, yeah. That one I knew. But.
Yeah.
Yeah, great show. All right. All right, did you want to talk about Comey now, Maverick?
Yeah, I can dig into it. So,
right.
The other Netflix show that I've been watching, and has a few episodes now at this point, is Comey Can't Communicate. The recent acquisition that is also being simulcast on Netflix, which, again, a shocker. Part of me feels like after seeing the way that, like, Beastars Season 2 came out, I feel like that's a catalyst for whenever they get something that's like lucrative and they want to like put some effort into. Weekly simulcast might help them there. But that aside, very, very simple premise for Komi Can't Communicate. Basically, just in a high school, everyone is new. Everyone is at this prestigious academy for individuals that are able to come by, and we have our focus centered on two specific people: the titular Komi and a other student named Tadano. Tadano, his whole feature being that he is a very milquetoast little boy, but at least knows how to like read the room and understand what the social cues are at the time. Komi is a stoic and quiet individual who constantly gets adoration and appreciation from everybody around her, where in reality, she is just very socially anxious. And that stoicism and sense of a never-ending confidence are really just her shutting the hell up because she does not want to speak. But no one really understands that, aside from Tadano. And so, through a chance encounter, the two are able to get a chance to communicate with each other, and Komi confesses that, hey, I want to make 100 friends at this new school. And Tadano, recognizing the earnestness in this request, goes ahead to help her in her mission to make 100 friends. All the while realizing that everyone in this school is fucking batshit. And hijinks ensue. Overall, it's been cute. Like, it's just a very comforting show. Like, the first episode had what I would say is the scene that put a lot of people, like, it put Komi on the map for a lot of people, either in the manga or the show itself, where in the classroom, after everyone else has cleared out, there's this encounter between Komi and Tadano that ultimately leads to, like, oh, hey, you are just shy, aren't you? Everyone else is, like, stricken by your good looks and the way that, like, it seems like you just don't care about anything, and all the laundry list of things that people will just, like, get fucking head over heels over, when in reality this is just a very socially anxious girl that doesn't know how to speak to people. But Tadano at least sees that, and there's just a very poignant moment where, rather than speak it out, he realizes, like, oh, we can just use the chalkboard to, like, communicate with each other for now, and let's start from here. Just a very warming scene of just, like, ultimately this is a rom-com scenario, but Tadano is a very earnest person where it is helpful that at the sign of recognizing that Komi needs a friend, he's not insisting that he'll be the first one. Rather, is at least open to being the person that can help to navigate future relationships and future friendships with people. He is a genuinely, like, forward and unassuming protagonist, but also in a way where it's like he is considerate of other people and is wanting to do the best by other people. And it's just refreshing in these kinds of shows where it can definitely become something that is much more sinister. And that aside, we do have other characters. And from these characters, I also mentioned that this is something that Komi Can't Communicate shares with Blue Period, that it is also another show that prominently features a queer character in its ensemble, specifically Najmi Osana, which, looking at the Wikipedia article, just says a character with ambiguous gender, but ultimately, like, femme-coded. It is a femme-coded character, and she just is very eager to work with other people, like, very popular, knows a very funny bit that everybody in the school is her childhood friend. Just through happenstance. Just knows everybody.
Nisekoi ass
Yeah,
shit.
Nisekoi ass shit. But someone else that like misunderstood Komi's like just abject quiet nature as like a sense of superiority or a dismissal of like wanting to communicate, and just ultimately becomes that second friend who then takes every advantage to try and just not necessarily torture Komi, but just create a lot, is very much trying to do the exposure therapy version of trying to get Komi to open up. The second episode had a very good bit where the joke was, "Oh, hey, Komi, can you get me this drink at Starbucks?" And then proceeds to list out a very complicated order. Komi goes to the coffee shop, cannot order this to save her life, but then the barista is like, "Oh my god, I'm like a 9th level black belt barista. I should be able to make this order without her even telling me it." He gets the wrong order. Komi cannot argue with, not even argue, mind you. Komi cannot bring herself to say, "This is the wrong order." Takes the coffee back. Najimi sees it and is just like, "Oh, hey, this is the wrong order." And Komi is on the verge of tears in a way that Komi,
I feel it.
in the way that just like Najimi and Tadano are like, "Oh, we fucked up. I fucked up. I feel bad." And just very, it likes to poke fun at the situation of social anxiety, but in a way where it's like there's always a narrator at the beginning that's like, people with social anxiety have difficulty making friends. It's not that they don't want to. It's just that it can be difficult. It wants to show a positive light in this very real thing. And I appreciate the humor that it comes across with at points. Today's episode, because it did have a episode coming, simulcasts on Thursdays. But today's episode had a nerdy, semi, like, also shy character come up and try to like fill in the next slot as Komi's next friend, but then immediately was like, "Oh, I can be your dog though, you can order me around." And I'm just like, "Hey, yo, like hold up, you're going 60 in a 25 per mile zone right now, like chill." And then the next like segment, and I would say like Komi's broken up as like different segments, and so the second segment for that episode was like, "Oh, Komi bought a flip phone. We should try and get her to get people's phone numbers down and like try to practice that way." And then comes back to this like new friend, and it's just like, "Oh, do you want me to take some slutty photos and be just like a whole just submissive little bitch for you?" And I'm just like, "Hey, yo."
Whoa.
Like,
Yeah.
tone it.
Unfortunately, too real sometimes. I feel like
Tone
that's...
relax. Relax. Like I'm feeling like I should be here with like a spray bottle. But at the same time, like I at least get it because of the fact that like that is like the people in the school are obsessed with, they worship Komi. Where it's like, there's a continual popular character that is just like constantly calling Tadano trash in her head. Because she's just like, "How dare you hang out with Komi? How dare you be in her breath? How dare you?" And it's just like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But just, oof. They might be one-note characters, these 100 friends that she'll make. But we're going to see. So far, I've still been enjoying it. It's still a fun time. It's, again, interesting to see just, like, the gradual propagation of queer characters in anime in a way that isn't diminutive or immediately, like, a parody.
Yeah. Like, not a Cowboy Bebop type situation, for example, where it's, like... Not the character in Spaceline, but there is a character in Spaceline who is this, where like, and the movie as well, for Cowboy Bebop, right? Like that type of thing. That's you just run into that so often.
Yeah, where it's like wanting to have a different conversation about how these characters can be existing, and I mean, bringing it back, like Satoshi Kon, very like poignant in the way that Tokyo Godfathers is one of the more loving portrayals of a trans character in like anime media, I would say. Still realistic to the reality that like there's a lot of like microaggressions that she has to deal with, but in a way that ultimately still like provides her with the ability to just be a very positive individual in the whole film. But yeah, like it's very hopefully it's not a case where I have to like count on my fingers how many positive like queer representations there are in anime. And not necessarily like, oh, this is a role model, but at the very least, it's like the joke isn't, oh, you're not straight or cis.
Yeah, they are.
The joke is, oh, you're just like, you're a manipulative little shit. Or the joke is, oh, you just like, you do art, but also like this is your way to like try and flirt around with people. Where it's at least more representative of the character itself rather than a part of the character's identity.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're actually a human being. You're like a well-rounded character that has both flaws and positive things about it. Yes.
Yeah, well, who'd have think?
Like getting that across. Yeah.
Who'd have thunk?
Yeah, who'd have thunk, right? Like you're allowed to have issues, but you're also allowed to not be one-dimensional, you know?
Exactly. Also, both have really banger OPs, I gotta say.
I did see the Comey one. I think you had mentioned it. And it's pretty good, yeah.
Comey OP is solid,
It's
and then
solid.
Blue Period, I at least like. I like the song itself. Very fun song.
All right. Let's see here. Okay, so for me, last thing is Deep Insanity, which is, I think it's called like Lost Child or something. This is a show where the premise is like, hey, there's this fucked up hole made in Abyss style
let's go.
in Antarctica. Yeah, and everyone's like, let's go. Not everyone's like, let's go. Oh. But it is like, how do I put this? There's like some sort of the Lost Child. Okay, there's like some sort of pandemic, but it's like ingrained on I don't know how to. There's a mysterious illness. Here we go. I found it to put this right because I only knew the name. There's a mysterious illness called Randolph syndrome, which is affecting a ton of people across the world, and this is an interesting choice, I have to say, to, make this. This manga, the series started before the pandemic, but they just really just went ahead with it, and like that, the game and the anime came out now. Bold choice, I want to say, to make a pandemic kind of thing. It barely has to do with stuff, but still, it's like Randolph syndrome is making everyone sick. It's changing the world, so we have to send people into the hole in the South Pole where this disease is coming from. And it has crazy monsters in there, and you gotta fight them. And you hear that, and you go, oh, it's probably really edgy. And then the reality is, it's like, oh, hey, this kid is like, man, I don't know what I want to do for work, so I guess I'll just join the crazy Antarctica people. And he goes there, and he goes down there, and then it's just him being like, wow, all the people on my squad have issues. I'm just some guy.
Uh-huh.
And like, I thought that it was going to like examine it at all, but like the second episode is like him being like, man, everyone hates me because I'm like, they're all here for traumatic reasons. Like, I need to pay for surgery, or I need, I came here because like my loved ones are in a coma or something, and like from the syndrome, and I want to try to find a cure, like all this stuff. And then he's just like, man, I was bored.
They hate me because I'm neurotypical.
Yeah, basically. And he's like,
man, I'm a normie.
Yeah, he's like, how do I make people like me? And so the second episode is just him like talking to this idol girl, and she's dealing with her like idol stress, but it's just so like, it was just like a generic like drama episode of any other anime, and I was like, what does this have to do with the giant hole that's killing people? Like, this is episode 2. Very strange. Episode 3, like, they at least went in the hole in episode 3, but
Okay.
it's a very strange show. It has very weird pacing. I think the last episode I watched ended with, like, the guy's boss, like, being like, since you're the only, like, one who's normal here, I have to ask you to do my special mission. Can you go kill this kid for me? Like, this, like, 10-year-old. It was like, wow, okay, where's this going then? So I'm interested to see where this goes, but this is such a weird thing. I don't understand how cross-media stuff is still happening, if I'm going to level with you. Like, have you ever... can you name a successful cross-media franchise?
Like, in terms of recently, or just in
Yeah, like
general?
something that... I mean, even just in
Well,
general.
Love Live.
So I was going
but
to
in a
say
way,
that,
it was
sure,
like
but-
one of the first. I think the problem is it's one of the first ones I think to, like, in the
Yeah.
2010s, you know. So I think that makes sense, and especially it coincides with an already successful genre of like anime idols.
Yeah, and
So-
like, but what else? Like, I can't...
I mean, I guess Pokemon counts, but at the same time, it's a different.
But that's like
It's because I'm
you're
understanding what
Rose
you
is talking
mean.
about something
Yeah.
specific.
Like
yeah.
thinking about what specifically it is.
Like a simultaneous anime mobile game plus one other thing
Yeah,
launch, you
plus
know?
like
Yeah.
CDs or something.
Or a light novel, yeah.
it's difficult because it's like so much of it relies on like a selling of the product, but at the same time, it's like you need the product to exist on its own before you can actually get into the material. I mean, earlier, like Rose and I were talking about the Scarlet Nexus anime now that we are both some ways into the game, and ultimately one is lacking in presentation over the other because of the fact that there's a condensed format that you have to work with there,
Yeah.
as opposed to the other that will give you the space and is designed to have more space in order to like navigate character relationships and just get into what characters are with one another.
Yeah, it's I think especially the thing that gets me with this stuff, even with Scarlet Nexus, right? Like with that, like these are all like original concepts. I think that's what gets me. Like I don't understand where the boldness is coming from, is what I mean. Like, because you look at what is successful as a multimedia franchise in America,
Like Pokemon.
Yeah, you get
Well, not in
Pokemon.
America, but yeah,
Well,
Pokemon, but like Marvel
yeah,
stuff.
kind of Marvel stuff, like
Yeah.
like children's TV shows.
They all have pre-established, though. I think what Maverick was like, they all have pre-established IPs. Like they
Yeah,
started off as one thing.
exactly.
They didn't launch out the gate as like, here's this story in everything, in every single media that exists right now. Marvel again, the obvious source. Like these were just comic book characters. Like when those people made those characters and published those things. I don't know at that point in time if they conceived it like, oh, there's going to be a multi-million fucking dollar franchise. For sure, no. Comic book creators to this day are deeply underpaid, and those people are not getting royalties as they should. But to my point, something like Pokemon, which started off as a series of games, I don't think at that point in time, Satoshi Tajiri thought about like, oh yeah, there's going to be movies attached. You know, like no, whenever someone makes a
Yeah.
creative project, they're not thinking, they want it to be, you know, any artist wants their stuff to be successful. Any artist wants like, oh, if they have an original story, I want this to be big. But I don't think, no one's really thinking about the long term of like the implications of this exploding into like different media formats.
Yeah.
I think there is a specific word for, or there has to be some sort of specific term now, especially for what you're talking about, Rose, specifically, which is, the MOBA game, the anime, specifically targeting the anime market, the anime demographic specifically. But all I'm getting right now is just mixed media project, which might
Yeah.
be just it. Because I'm like looking at the current incomplete Wikipedia page for it, and it is talking about things like Pokemon. It brings up Yu-Gi-Oh! As an example. But it redefines those things as bigger media franchises at this point. It's they're actually using the words transmedia, cross media. Like those are kind of different categories at this point. They are connected to mixed media, but like I said, I think what distinguishes them is that they were something else before they launched into exploring other media formats before that. Interesting. Japan Sinks was an early example of this in Japan, at least. in the 1980s, because Japan Sinks indeed does have a jillion adaptations to it, actually. You know, a lot of people are aware of the Yuasa one, but there actually is a million other Japan Sinks things before the Yuasa anime, actually. You know, like, literally, there are different iterations of it for every decade, I feel like.
It really feels like the same way that game developers put their eggs in the basket for esports, and it's like you can't make a game for esports, right? It's like the same way, like you can't make a story that works
for
anime,
a professional competitive scene.
You can't make this thing that works in these all of these crazy formats until you know that people actually like it. And that's what I mean. Is just like, I feel like especially now, in like this era where it's very clear that so much of anime is just being pushed out to die, right? Like it's just there's 7 billion isekai shows, like half of them don't even get watched by anyone. Like, why would you dump it all? Like, why would you dump so many resources into these original properties on such a grand scale? It's just so weird. It's just that's capitalism, I guess, right? It's just
am I right? Back to the theme. No, it's like, it's a shame that, it's not giving those ideas that could be much better breathing room, because a lot of the other investment is like, no, we gotta capitalize on making this in other formats too. We gotta have the game. We gotta have the fucking the promos, or all these promos around it, the CDs, etc. As opposed to just investing a lot of energy in the story itself, which ends up becoming milquetoast because of like the priorities are not like where they should be. It can't just be an original story if it didn't have this bad mindset that I think is self-sabotaging. It's like, no, it can't succeed as an original story because it doesn't have anything else attached to it, right? Not to say that a lot of these things are also just bad inherently. But for sure, I think for some of them that missed the mark, or for some that like I don't even know exist, like you said, like unfortunately, like there's like a lot of these stories being put out where it's like I don't know what this is because I didn't even realize it existed, because no one it's just being thrown out there, like no one's catching it. Maybe that's something that could have succeeded if it wasn't attached to. If it wasn't framed as a mixed media project, if it just was like, no, just make this an anime, or just make this a drama series, just make this like a novel. Like I don't, it needs to be centralized. It needs to be focused.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I just.
Right, like Attacked Op is currently running the season, but I've not touched the game. Like I don't even know what the fuck the game is about. I mean, I know I can get what the game is about, because it's about like there's a handler character and then there's like a character that you have to like manage. I get it. It's like I can see how the game works, but I'm not touching the game. I probably can't even touch the game anyway because there's probably no North Americans. But that's what I mean. Like
why
I don't know who that
stuff get over here. Like, it's
only for Japan. Yeah. But that's what I mean. I don't know anyone talking about whatever the game is for Attacked Op. I'm watching the anime. I like the anime so far, but I'm not gonna fucking touch the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't need the game.
The thing that really struck me when I was thinking about this was after Lost. I don't even know if you remember me talking about that, but that was a series where it was a mixed media project again, like gacha game.
Yeah.
And anime, but and it had a simuldub, and it was just like, why does this have a simuldub when like fucking like nothing else gets it? Why did they decide that a mixed media project from that we only get half of? Like, it's so weird. I don't know. Anime be weird. Anime is really weird right now. I feel like even just like reading a lot about what it was like to create OVAs and stuff in the early 2000s. Like that's a completely different ballpark from what it's like to create. Like everything has to be, it feels like everything has to be a series these days, and that it doesn't matter. But whatever. Try to avoid going too long for the podcast. We could talk about here, Elvie, you can talk about one thing on your own, but I did want to talk to you about Miruko-chan.
Oh yeah.
just on here because this was a manga that we both read, I believe.
Yes,
so.
we need to unpack this. Yeah.
Yes. So I've only seen 2 episodes of the show because I was like, holy cow.
I've seen like 4 so far. Yeah.
Okay. I imagine that's probably what's out right now. But yeah, this was a show we liked because it was...
the premise is good. It's funny.
Yeah, the premise is good. It's like this girl sees ghosts. She tries to pretend that she doesn't, basically.
Yeah, and she's very jaded, and she's like, damn, that's fucked. And then
Yeah.
she tries to cure it, and she doesn't talk to anyone about it.
And the show, like, generally works up to over time, like, building up that character and, like, what she wants to do and stuff like that. And it was compelling in a manga format.
Yeah, and her eventually realizing, I should do something about this, and, like...
Yeah. However, this show is, like, so horny. It's, like, unreal.
Yeah. I do remember there is a little fan service in the... Again, like I said, like... So she again, we were talking about this before the podcast, but like to talk about it now, right? She has a best friend who has big boobs, and like, yep, that's the bit. Her friend has big boobs. They jiggle. Sometimes we get a close-up shot, like, oh, there you go, very typical, very standard. Nothing shocking at this point in anime at this stage. And one of the scenarios that happens is that like a creepy, gross ghost like gropes her friend, and her friend doesn't fucking notice. It's a ghost. She doesn't feel it, but the Morocco is like, shit, what the fuck? Like, what do I do? I can't do anything about it. I can't tell my friend I see this shit. She's not gonna believe me, etc. And that's the extent of, like, how bad it can get, really. But the fucking anime's out of its mind. It's like doing close-up shots whenever Morocco bends down, and it's like, nothing is happening. She's just picking something up. Like, what is going on? It's weird. I don't understand why.
I feel like it was the type of thing where I was like, I feel like maybe I had the worst possible setting also for like watching the first episode for this, because I was like going with some of my girlfriends. I was like, yeah, I liked this manga a lot,
Yeah.
It's like, no. Open it up and it's just non-stop her ass falling over her ass just everywhere.
Not doing anything.
Really though, I was just like, please.
The other thing I was surprised by, and maybe because I just don't remember, like, again, reading the strips initially, but, like, yeah, there actually is, like, a serious narrative going on where, like, she does eventually meet other people who, like, are keen on what she is doing, and, like, or also who are kind of tapping into the occult as well, like an old woman who seems like a scam artist at first, but she actually genuinely has, like, knowledge of the paranormal as well, and tries to indirectly help her without, like, outing herself either, because, again, it's, like, a whole awkward thing of, like, oh, I don't know if this person will believe me, or, like, oh, I don't know if she will understand, etc., and she tries to help her from afar, like, such as trying to give her, like, these prayer beads, which works against her, actually, and, like, it's like, oh shit, her power's too powerful, or, like, the ghost, or the sort of energy and, like, ghost Morocco's attracting are too powerful, and, like, yeah, there's like a strange anomaly going on to her, where, like, this old woman's like, I've never seen someone who has this sort of magnetism before, and very interesting, too, where she recognizes, again, the big booby friend, actually is like, oh yeah, like a very important person to like be with, because something about her also is ringing off, like, oh, she has strange positive energy that is helping Morocco negate like all the bad things going too far, etc. Like, yeah, there actually is kind of like some sort of serious underbelly, like going like and like how the show handles to like suspense also is very good. Like, and they actually, like, the way the episodes build up tension and stuff, they're not scary, really. Like, when you see the ghost, like, it's like, wow, that's creepy. That's, like, fucked looking. It kind of, like, escalates tension in a very tactful way, very similar to, like, if you were actually watching a horror movie. Like, there's, like, a lot of moments in the show where there's no music. Like, a lot of, at least from what I've noticed, like, a lot of times in the show, it's very quiet. Like, as if something bad is going to happen, which I think is very interesting. Like, it takes, like, the genre it's trying to, like, lampshade very seriously. I quite like that. It's like, oh, it's not what I expected. I for sure, I kind of thought the anime was going to go a different direction, where it's just going to be all goofy and comedic all the time. But no, a lot of the moments in the show, like, take a very slow pace and in a very serious, like, way. It's funny because it's like, it's because the character is very deadpan. It's like, it's funny because she just like is very non-reactive to everything. It's not funny because of like, ooh, slapstick, what have you. It's just funny because of like just the subtleness of like how like she's reacting to things, and it's never what you expect. But otherwise, yeah, I'm sticking around with it. Like, again, the fan service is a huge turnoff. It's very unnecessary. It doesn't add anything. Again, very bizarre. Again, one of those things where the people animating got a note from like some horny producer being like, no, there's no panties here. You gotta put them in. You gotta meet this quota. It's fucked up. It's like, it's absurd. And yeah, like I said, I remember fan service in the manga, but it's not this bad. It's not this like obnoxious. And like, I remember it goes away at a certain point too, where I think for sure, like, the creator of the show had come clarity and was like, no one's reading this for that. I'm gonna stick to the narrative here, right? But the anime has not got that memo. I love the ending theme. The ending theme is just samples a bunch of screaming, which is really funny to me. It's excellent. It's like, wow, it's incredible.
I felt like while the slow pace like is interesting, I found it like glacial at times where I went and read the manga and it really felt like they were like stretching out like
time.
So much time, and like a lot of it was on her ass. So like I feel like that's probably why it hurts.
That's probably it too. I think it lingers on fan service modes that shouldn't be there. But otherwise, I do get the effect of like what they're trying to go for. I think there was a deliberate choice where they wanted to like recreate tension that would be in a horror movie.
Yeah, and I think to borrow from the way you talked about the vampire dies in no time at all or whatever, like that is like it feels like a hit or miss to me with that. Yeah, like where it's like either like this is an effective scare gag or it is I am sitting here, dude, watching her in front of the fridge.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, like, I know what's going to happen. Do I have to see her ass?
Yeah.
Yeah, is there another show you'd like to talk about before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I want to talk about a show that's not an anime, but for sure has attracted negative attention it didn't deserve, and that is High Guardian Spice, which is a show produced by Crunchyroll Studios.
Okay.
And this was something teased a while ago. I don't know if a lot of people are aware of this, but Crunchyroll announced like a slate of stuff coming in their programming a couple of years ago, and this particular thing made people upset. And of course, it's the sort of people you expect to be upset. And it's just trolls under a bridge who are like, oh shit, look at this SJW show. Oh my god, anime is over. So I feel so bad for the show because it's fine. It's fucking fine. It's just not an anime. And it's just a cute little kid show. It's not quite a little kid show. There is cursing, there's some violence, but it's just like a kid, I guess a preteen show. It's just like a preteen show of like these two friends who are gonna go to a magical academy and they just have adventures and it's just their day-to-day lives and they just make friends with other gals and it's a fun, like, empowering girl show. And that's it. There's nothing offensive about this whatsoever. And the show unfortunately got caught in the crossfire of like Crunchyroll's just buffoonery and like the horrid chuds on the internet as usual, unfortunately, in the anime community who can't handle seeing something different. And I think the big problem was like, unfortunately, I think it does unfortunately, like that reaction's gonna be expected. People are just gonna be shitty as usual. But I think it does fall in the fault of Crunchyroll should have not marketed the way it was, which I remember it being kind of weird and like it had weird edgy marketing. Again, misleading marketing of what this was to begin with. And this should not be on Crunchyroll too. I think this was announced around a time too where this is when like discussion around Crunchyroll underpaying its translators was really like at its fervor, and like when a lot of people were starting to like come out with more stories about that, coinciding with their weird basement mall food court office thing. Like there was like, why are you Crunchyroll spending so much money on their like building and not paying the animators and not paying the translators and freelancers they hire? And the show was like announced around that time when Crunchyroll was like making all these promises of like, no, we're gonna do better. And then here's this thing, it's it just attracted a lot of negative attention. You know, like it didn't deserve that. It's just a cute kid show, and it looks nice. It is doing what it does. It has a very cute like theme song and ending song. Obviously, it's very inspired by anime, but like I said, it's not anime. But I think it's actually solid. I think it has something, it has a lot more to offer. I think I would watch this like in my other, free time. I might actually just genuinely follow this. And again, it's like, just to show it's a Western produced show. Like all the episodes are available. It's not like a whole thing where it's like one episode per week, etc. Just they're all available on Crunchyroll. You can watch it, or other platforms affiliate with Crunchyroll, that you can watch it. But man, yeah, the fucking reviews on Crunchyroll's site, like just shitting on the show, which again are just the people who are upset this exists to begin with, just because there are gay people in it, I guess. And just because like it's not an anime, and that's not its fault. It's not its fault. And just over shitting on it just because of how it looks too, where it's like, I think it looks fine. I actually think it genuinely looks nice. Like, I think it has good production values for what it's supposed to be. But yeah, just people overcompensating, shitting like, oh, the animation sucks. Like, oh, this is so bad. This is right. Are you fucking kidding me? There's a lot of anime out there that's fucking bad, like way worse than this. And I don't think this is even a bad show at all. Again, I'm just like ranting about like less about the show and just the perception around the show.
This is something that's built up for you for like years and years, right? Like this was announced years ago, wasn't it? I feel like.
Yeah, it was, and that is why it took so long. It like was done for a while, I think, but the creators held back because of such the backlash they were receiving from shitty people. Like, oh man, oh god, I feel so bad for these people involved. Oh man, like if this was like on Cartoon Network and like or some other network where it was more appropriate, like this would be I think this show would be a talk. I think I like thinking about like She-Ra's like popular. This would be this would be that same audience. I think it would be a synthesis of like people who like She-Ra and people who like Little Witch Academy, Little Witch Academia. I think people would like this show. It's just not it's not on a platform it deserves to be. And for that reason, it's getting shit for, like, stupid reasons. God, fucking Crunchyroll. God, I do wonder, like, what else other, like, original pet projects they have. I actually don't know, but this was the one for sure that, like, I remembered. I was like, oh, man. Oh, man. Yeah, it deserves better. Hi, Guardian Spice. Tell your kids. Please help it.
No,
the people who made this did not deserve this shit.
Yeah, when I watched The Little Witch, I felt like there should just be more stuff like this. This is hey, fucking Eichenfeld points to this. Like, this is what I would have wanted out of that. Like
I would have loved the show as a kid.
Definitely, that's exactly it.
And I like it now as an adult. I was like, oh, this is fine. This is completely inoffensive. The other shitty thing about the show, and like, because the creators brought it up, and like people were reviewing the first episode that. When this came out around, last night, they wanted to get it out before Halloween. Notice that on Crunchyroll itself, like not on VRV. Actually, I don't remember, but like there's a content warning before the show, which is fucking weird because again, there's nothing offensive about this show. But again, it raises a lot of questions too, because it's like, is it because of like the queer content in the show? Like, come on, like, why is there, I don't recall seeing a content warning on any anime I've seen in Crunchyroll. And like, I've seen some dark, like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, like, I don't know.
I feel like that's probably just the creators being more mindful of that sort of thing.
But then, then one of them came out saying like, I don't recall like, noting
cool.
that, yeah.
Okay.
They were explaining like, no, like there's cursing in the show, and there's violence in the show, but certainly I can't imagine it being. This is not a troll show at all. They made it clear, like, no, this is just a fine, perfectly innocent show that has some of that stuff. Huh. Like, nothing that goes the edge of, like, Madoka, plot twist, things get dark, like, nothing, it does nothing of that sort. So, like, yeah, the creators already said, I don't know why there's a content warning in front of the show. It just has cursing and some violence in it.
They did end up putting that on Goblin Slayer, I remember, at least. That was, like, the only
See, it's like, what is the comparison there? Yeah. It's like, is it because there's a trans character in this? I don't understand. Uh-huh. There's like literally two gay, like these girls have gay dads. It's wonderful. It's like, is that the reason? Like, oh shit, we got it. It's in the first episode. Like, oh man. Yeah. Just another thing that's like shitty. Like, come on. Like, yeah, nothing else to say.
No, I get you.
Nothing else to say. Like, damn. The society we live in, and Crunchyroll is going to eventually merge with Funimation. I don't know. Just, oh man, the limited amount of platforms that anime's on.
Okay, I think that's about it then for now. I think that's a good stopping point. I don't blame us for talking about Paranoia Agent that long.
There's so much to say about that show.
There's a
Yeah.
lot to say. We didn't even cover everything. Yeah. Um, but yeah, thanks to our patron for picking that one. That was picked by Cello Buster. Thank you. So next up was for the anime, quote unquote, that we're going to watch next. This is my pick, and I've been wanting to force everyone to watch Kamen Rider Build the first 12 episodes for the last
your time.
year. So I'm doing that now. This should be fine because I think we've talked about a lot over the course of us doing this show, wanting to work into more long running series and taking a bite out of one, taking just a bit, getting some vibes. And what is better for that than a Kamen Rider show that never ends, right? Kamen Rider shows just keep going until the end. So this will be a fun little one, Kamen Rider Build. So this one, episode 1 and 2 can be found on YouTube on the Toei channel, but much like all Toku fans have to learn at some point, you will have to find this through more illicit means. It is fairly easy to find it. You can find it on sites that distribute, say, magnet links of sorts, as well as just, there's a lot of fan subsites that will have it that are safe and not evil, like the Kiss Anime or what have you.
I know. I think Shout Factory owns some of Kamen Rider, or like has distribution.
Yeah, I don't know if they.
But I don't think
this.
they don't own. They own this far. They don't own this far, unfortunately. I think.
Yeah, because
they own. They definitely own a lot, pretty much the original series and all the old ones. Which I've discovered recently because of work researching purposes. They do stream their programming on Twitch. They do curate that stuff, so they actually have dedicated days where. Like the past couple of days have been Godzilla days. They've been just airing Godzilla movies on their Twitch channel, which is funny. And they do have Kamen Rider days. So there's that, but it probably won't be episodes in order. I don't know how the schedule works, but yeah, it's for sure something that, is an option as well, though, at least for other series, but probably not for Build, unfortunately.
Maybe someday we will see a world where they fucking just let this shit is popular over here, okay? It's not like gangbusters, because again, you have to like fucking work to get it, but people like it. More people watching this than fucking deep insanity, like. I don't know.
How many episodes do you recommend we should dive into Build?
I think just
for
12,
us and
like
the listeners at home. 12.
Just 12.
Okay. Right.
I think because if I recall correctly, most Kamen Rider series operate under a rule of twos where they have one episode and then the second one finishes the thought. So that'll be like the finished thought
sure
of whatever that is. Yeah. So that should be fun, hopefully. All right. As always, patreon.com/VGCC. $3 gets you 1 week early. Sorry this episode's a little late. Such is the way. I don't want to just keep saying this over and over again, but I think we'll have the full crew back next time.
But you're saying I think. So there's no certainty there.
There's no certainty there. I think. I was just saying last time on the podcast, I was saying to Maverick before the show, like, I fucking said, I think Paranoia Agent's on Crunchyroll, and Maverick was like, I don't think, is it? And I was like, oh yeah, it is, I think. And then it was just like, no, Maverick was right.
I love to hear it.
This time for real.
I need to hear it one more time.
Yeah, Maverick is right.
There we go.
So yeah, that's the name of the episode. If it wasn't just going to be Paranoia Agent, I would just call it Maverick is Right. All right. I think that's everything, unless you two have anything else to say. All right. I take that silence as a no. So we're going to call it quits. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Unlimited Railworks. See ya.